Welcome back, guys. As always, Hot Mess Espresso is proudly sponsored by 502 Media. We are combining two things I love the most, which is coffee and podcasting. We have the creative minds from Brain Juice Creative. We have Taylor and Cobain on the podcast today. Hello. Yes. Yeah. I know. I have too. Like the second I linked with you guys, I was like, I can't wait for this. So diving into it, let's talk about the coffee end. That's, what got you into the coffee business that led to the podcast and everything else.
I think, pretty quickly after falling in love, I got Cobain to also fall in love with coffee. Coffee's been a big passion. Coffee's been a big passion of mine for years. It was always a dream to have a coffee shop, and Cobain's like, well, why wait to get a coffee shop and like have the capital for that? Like, we could be building the business and selling beans. Like, let's start somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was like a new entrepreneurial venture for us and a new avenue we wanted to explore with something that I love. Yeah, that's how that started.
Yeah, and I had been looking for a product to really start selling outside of my other sort of creative ventures, something that would continue selling regardless of what I'm doing. And so when she brought up coffee, I was like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer. Let's do it. It's a big market. There's a ton of different coffee like creators, but at the same time, everybody's always looking for more coffee. And
For
so
sure.
we linked up with a really cool roaster that really helped us craft a really solid coffee that's air roasted. And so it's kind of a newer technology, not new. It's been around for like 30 years, but a newer technology than what most people are used to. And so our beans have such a good taste to them, and it's been a great journey because neither one of us were in the coffee business before. She was a drinker. I wasn't even a drinker. I was the most caffeine I got was from energy drinks, and then I had to step away from those just because there's so many different chemicals and everything in that, which are not great for mental stuff or anything. So switched to coffee, and that's been the journey. I've become a really big drinker now, and I know more about coffee than I ever thought I knew. I would know.
Well, I love the name Brain Juice. I think that's really catchy, and it caught my attention. Honestly, I was like, Brain Juice. That's what I'm going to call it from now on.
Yeah, great.
But where can we find Brain Juice?
Yeah, brainjuicecoffee.com. We're Brain Juice Coffee LA on Instagram because we are headquartered in Los Angeles. So you can find us there on Instagram.
But we ship all throughout the country.
Nationwide.
Perfect. So then,
we'll show you. We'll give you a little peek at the bag.
Yes,
the bags, because now we have two roasts. We have a light roast and a dark roast. And this one's Cosmic Flow, and the dark roast is Brainwave. So it's like what a lot of people are used to in getting espresso, especially with the dark. But the light is really unique and really fruity. I mean, like, when we talk about flavor, you can really taste the flavor, which I know it's like duh, but like not all coffee you actually taste the flavor of the notes, but like with ours, the air roast, you really can. And we're all about like it's lending to your creative process. It's turning on your dopamine, levels, and you're turning up your dopamine levels in your brain, like just that joy and satisfaction that you get from like the taste itself, but also like helping you get into the flow of your creative process is what we're all about.
Yeah, and touching on the creative part of it, the design of the bags were all done in house. We do everything. Our marketing, we do our design work. We do literally everything. It's just a 2-person business here, and so we handle everything. But we are always looking for people to collaborate with, whether it's on the creative side or on the coffee side of things. So we just love to be a part of the creative community in every aspect. So any way that we can lend to that or join others, we try to join in.
Yeah. So before we dive into more of the creativity end and things like that, how is it running a business, being parents, being fully present for each other, how do you juggle that?
It's hard. It's hard.
I love that you said juggle, because in my brain I was like literally doing that. Like
Yeah.
like it really is.
Yeah,
It is a 3-ring circus.
literally right before getting on to do this, we spent the last hour trying to get our 2-year-old to get to bed for his nap, because he's at that stage now where naps are like pretty much evil to him. So he wants to fight the nap even though he needs it. And he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, I feel so much better." I'm like, "Yes, that's why
we're telling you." Yeah.
But it's a journey. I mean, I'll tell you, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Everything that we're able to do together as a family, it's definitely a dream come true. The coffee business is what we like. That's our whole job is selling coffee, along with kind of our creative works, and then raising him is we get to spend literally every day, every moment of every day with him. So I've been able to watch him grow and be active in that, which is something that I don't think a lot of people are able to say, unfortunately, just because of the way the job world is. And, most of us are gone for 40 hours a week to provide for our household. So being able to be here with both Taylor and Cash, that's our son's name, has been, I honestly, I could not be more grateful. So no matter how hard it is, which it is hard. And there are many days where projects that we're trying to get done don't get done because we've got to be like, okay, hey, we've got to focus on taking care of Cash, or we got to do something else family wise, or we just don't have time. So things take a little bit longer, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, we kind of have about at least minimum 3 jobs between parenting and running the coffee business and doing our creative work. Minimum base level 3 jobs at all times. It's kind of like that meme, I can't work a 9 to 5, so like I work 24/7 as a creative. Yep. But like Cobain said, like I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I have freedom. Like focus on that. And it is a privilege to be with our son. A big part of what we're doing is to show him what is possible, and like to go after your dreams and like pursue your creativity and believe in yourself. And so we want to be examples for him in building our businesses.
Yeah. And it's on top of that, it's grateful or not grateful. It's a testament to also our village. Nothing happens without having a village, and we've been lucky enough to have really great business partners, really great creative partners, really great friends and family that are able to help out. Or sometimes we bring Cash to meetings and they understand, he's going to be there, and they're super cool with it. So very, very grateful to have so many people that want to be a part of what we're trying to do and help us succeed in every aspect.
Yeah, that's it. And like you said, it does take an absolute village, even besides parenting, when it comes to business. And how do you guys, I'm sure you guys get this question a lot, but how do you guys handle creative differences as a couple when it comes to the business, especially because you just try to keep it outside of that, but it does trickle in. So how do you guys handle that creative difference stuff?
Yeah.
I love that question. I think I think it's been more challenging for me. I believe so, because I do have a tendency, because our lives are so we're in every part of each other's lives pretty much. Being business partners and creative partners and parents, like and then like our own relationship outside of that. I've had to really work on not taking things personally. So there's been growth opportunity for me in that aspect. But also, I mean, Cobain's really great at like helping me refocus on like the bigger vision. But I've also, been able to really express why I think something should be one way, or like I think we've been really great at like letting that balance be there, even if we do like disagree on something, at least expressing what we think and being honest about how we feel, even in a disagreement or like a difference.
Yeah, I think I kind of have two answers to that. One is, one of my big things is if there's a difference of opinion in something, it's okay. Well, show me what that looks like.
Right.
Being able
Ooh.
to see, okay, because a lot of times, for me, I recognize I don't always have the right vision. So when you're working with another person, you've got to trust, especially when you decide to build a partnership, you have to trust that they have a vision also. So a lot of times it's okay. I don't see what you're seeing. Help me see it. So how does that look? Whatever you're suggesting, what would that look like?
Yeah.
And then the other part of it, I think is on my end, being able to communicate what it is I'm trying to convey. Communication matters so much. And I think a lot of the times there are differences of opinions between Taylor and I. It's usually because I haven't done a great job of explaining what I'm trying to get her to understand. And so that's been, the biggest part for me is just making sure that I can communicate. And then also just trying to trust that, maybe I don't understand, but you've got an idea. Let's see it through. If it doesn't work, then we go back to square one, or we switch up. We learn from this and try again. So it's just it's a trust, I think, is the answer to that question overall.
Yeah.
It took a while to get here. When we first started, our relationship before we were even like a couple started from trying to work on things together. So it started from this creative space of trying to build, and then
collaborate.
and then it became a friendship, and then it grew into romance. So I think as far as creative differences go, we kind of have an advantage because it started from a place of connection at the very beginning.
No.
It's especially challenging because a lot of our neurodivergent stuff comes into play, and our communication styles, and there's sometimes this. So like even getting to like, what are you saying? Like, what are you saying and what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it too.
Well, the amount of times that we recognize at the end of a 30-minute disagreement that we've literally been saying the same thing the whole time, just two different ways. That's been a constant one for us.
Yeah, that can be a little bit of an ego check sometimes when you both realize that you're saying the same thing, but and you're just like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So diving into the neurodivergency a little bit, there's one, I think that the most incredibly creative people have a decent amount of neurodivergency in one way or another, so it's such a gift, but it can also be a hindrance, especially when you're running a business and you have to be self-motivated and disciplined and stuff like that. How are you guys able to circumvent that? Or even, I know you guys both have your own mental health struggles personally, and I know Cobain wanted to chit chat a little bit about that, but how do you overcome and work? I don't even want to say overcome. How do you work around those mental hindrances when you do have so much going on with the business and parenting and all of that? Because that can be a hell of a struggle.
Yeah. For me, it was learning how to stop fighting against it. Learning how to, one of my biggest struggles with a lot of my mental journey was literally fighting against the fact that my brain worked differently. And that caused so many issues. And so, I was grateful to have a therapist not too long ago who, one of our earlier meetings, she was like, well, nothing's wrong with your brain. Stop saying that. Like, she's like, you just think differently than what people consider the norm, but there's nothing wrong with you. And so that simple statement helped me look completely differently at what's going on, like in my head. And I stopped being like, okay, hey, you're thinking weird things, or you're thinking wrong in this situation. And really just, okay, my brain works differently. And so once I did that, it was a lot easier for me to be able to take on the day. And so there's some days I'm not in the space to do stuff. And I just have to be honest about that, because if I try and force it, things will either be worse or it's not going to work out in the way that I want it to. And that's the benefit of being able to run our business the way that we want to run it, is I have the space, and luckily I have the partner where I can say, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. today I'm struggling, and so I'm going to need you to take the reins. I'll jump in where I can, but I may not be able to get as much done as I normally do. And there's that trust there to make it work. And sometimes, I think one of us is like, hey, well, we've got something really important that's coming up tomorrow, so we got to be ready for that. And so then you kind of buckle up and you figure it out. But again, trust and communication.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's, I think, something that I adopted from my therapist a while back that I realized was using creativity as self-care. And it has to be my non-negotiable. Because he was like, you cannot wait to be motivated to create. Like, it's self-care for you. So sometimes I also need to be reminded of that. Like, even yesterday I was telling Cobain, I was really sad. I was just feeling sadness and grief, and I wanted to do something creative, and I can even have personal demand avoidance for that. And he's like, just sit down at the piano. Just sit down at the piano. And so I'm grateful to have a partner that can also recognize that and hold space for me to do that, because that will help me be more productive and move through things. I had something else. ADHD.
Story of my life.
Yeah. That was the crux of it. Oh, I was going to say Cobain's really strong in structure. So I'm still very much learning that for myself, because that's been my biggest challenge, especially as an entrepreneur, to create my own structure and what works for me. That is a whole thing. So Cobain is a great example of that. And I'm also just that's been my learning curve for myself, is okay, how do I not only create my own structure, but trust my structure when it's not given to me, we're so used to in systems we grew up in. And
I also am a creative that struggles with structure and creating that, and it's hard when you have a podcast and you have deadlines, and if there's meetings that I create, I make it to them, but that whole getting myself to sit at the desk and edit and do the things, it's I almost have to put it in my calendar, because if I don't put it in my calendar, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, totally. Out of sight, out of mind. And that was
right.
Even when we were scheduling this, I was telling Cobain, because a 1 hour shift in this podcast put us out a bit because of your schedule. I was like, that is an incredible amount of structure that I am so impressed by, that 1 hour later it has to be scheduled. I'm we need to get to that level.
Look, I've been doing this for 3 years. I am still learning how to have and I mean, there's days where I knock my entire to-do list out, no problems. I am superwoman. And then there's other times where I've got 14 pending tasks and I am nope. No, it's just, it's not happening. I think there's a little bit of peer pressure that I kind of work well with when it comes to creating my own structure, because it's oh, I have to be there because someone else is expecting me to be there. If I know that someone else is expecting me to be there, it's with the gym. If I know that I'm meeting somebody at the gym, I'm going to go. If I know I have to get myself to the gym, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, accountability has been everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that's honestly why I tend to work with partners more than anything else, is because that's when I know, okay, that I have to show up, because it's not just me relying on me, it's somebody else now relying on me to be there as well. Yeah.
Yep. And it's a little bit of that a shame corner you kind of create, where you're oh, if I don't do this, oh my gosh. And for some reason, that's quite a motivator. It's I'm not saying it's healthy, but it's a motivator.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, you guys are definitely, just from my impression of you two and all of that, you guys are a couple goals when it comes to holding space and the communication and all of that. So may I find that kind of love that exists out here. Maybe it's across the country. I don't know, but
I'll tell you what it is. It's therapy. I mean, we did therapy together as well. Just because when I think a lot of people forget that we're all different.
Yes.
And so, even though in the beginning of our relationship, there was definitely a lot of love and whatnot, communication is so important, and we're not taught how to communicate with each other.
Right.
And you learn that through experiences, and your communication improves from really bad situations of communication where something happened, you didn't like that, and you're like, okay, I'm going to communicate differently next time. So for us, it was like, we did do couples therapy because we wanted to learn how to properly talk to each other, and be able to, one, say the things that we need to say for ourselves, but also be able to listen to somebody else and understand somebody else's thought process. So that played a big part in us being able to learn how to hold space for one another.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think in this day and age, like having those serious conversations up front scares a lot of people off. But it's like, you got to know that when things hit the fan, it could hit the fan 6 months in, it could hit the fan 6 years in. You got to have that foundation now. So you're not figuring out how to make it work as things are hitting the fan.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, kudos to you if you are trying to figure it out as things hit the fan, because I think there's so many people that just don't want to figure it out, and they just So commitment,
Well, and
growth,
100%.
Friendships are work. Co-working friendships are work. Like relationships in general are work. It takes both people wanting to be here to make it happen.
It sure does. It sure does. But again, it goes back to that village thing. Like, I feel like we're in a society now where somebody said everyone wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. And, especially now when there's a lot of therapy speak being kind of weaponized and like, oh, I'm holding my boundaries so I can't go to your birthday tonight. And it's like, you have to slightly inconvenience yourself in any kind of relationship. Like, are we serious?
Sacrifice, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Healthy sacrifice. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Well, especially when it comes to like love and being in relationship, it's like love is a choice.
Yeah.
You have to consistently choose it, and obviously not doing any harm to yourself or anything like that. The choices, but
and I think
showing up.
And I think a lot of people, when they're talking about love, I think they talk about the initial feeling of like falling in love and that sort of honeymoon phase. But love is a lot deeper than that, and it takes work. You have to. There's a lot of sacrifice involved, but it is something that you have to want to do all the time, not just have it happen to you. And I think people, in a lot of relationships, there's the latter where they have love happen to them, but then it gets tough, and now they don't want to participate in the love. So,
yeah. Yep. You have to choose each other in the good and the hard times. And I say that as somebody that has been, in a serious relationship and married in the past. You have to keep choosing that person. And sometimes that's not enough. But yeah, you have to keep choosing that person when you were like in the thick of it and you're looking at that other person and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think you also have to, not be afraid to not necessarily put you gotta know how to put yourself at the forefront too. I think some people get lost in other people, and then you become somebody that you don't want to be, and then that later on affects the relationship. I think both people in the relationship have to, you learn who you are, and the idea is to, as a partner, be there to support who that person's becoming. But you've got to always recognize that other person's a person, and so I think that's another part of it. It's not just, well, it is just you. It is you in it. It's not just you, but you still have to put you forward, and make sure you're okay, so you could be there for this other person, and vice versa.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So let's switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys do everything together. So of course, when it came to creating a podcast, it was a no-brainer that the two of you were going to be at the helm of that. Who started the let's start a podcast conversation? I want to know how this all came about.
I feel like that was my idea, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was yours.
Sometimes things get really blurred.
Yeah.
Because we're often like we're often also like thinking the same things, like in terms of being connected. But like we had both done our own podcasts in the past.
I'd been in 4 different ones,
and I had my own, and I felt I want to say it was really a joint effort, because I was talking about how it'd be really great for our business as a marketing tool and a channel. And we had just always been talking about, like the way that we talk about things, we want to do that in a podcast form. Yeah, that's what I remember or recall with that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and I think, on my end, there's a lot, like, we chose a podcast around creativity, and that came from both of us pursuing creative careers. My creative career, but having successes and then also having failures. I was I was a recording artist for a long period of time. That went really well throughout my 20s and early 30s. I got signed to a label, distribution deals. It was a lot of cool stuff, but then I didn't really know what I was doing. And so, I was relying on a lot of other people to make what I wanted to happen. And then quickly learned that was a terrible way of of working in the industry. And so I got kind of, got lost in some stuff. And for me, it was there was a lot of things that I had learned that I wanted to be able to help other people avoid. And part of that is, you can create the type of stuff you want to create. And you can do it your way, and you don't have to succumb to what an industry tells you have to do, or who you have to be. And there's another route. Now it's harder. It's always going to be harder when you're going against the grain. But we're in a period of time now where, so many people are making it in their craft, doing things differently than what an industry told them to do. Thanks to the internet, and thanks to social media, thanks to YouTube, all these platforms where there are people having huge successes outside of the main industry. And so that journey was something I wanted to be able to help people see and understand and visualize. And so the podcast Life We Create really came about with us wanting to say, hey, okay, we've decided to step away from the 9-to-5 life. Let's talk about that journey with people, and let's bring people on the journey with us. But also, let's talk to other people that have been doing this for 40 years, 50 years, 10 years, 5 years. Somebody that just woke up today and said, hey, you know what? I'm done. I want to paint for the rest of my life. All right, well, let's talk about it. So it kind of, it really just stemmed from this place of wanting to explore something that people tell you can't do.
Yeah. With my background as a professional dancer and actor, and us, like, with our worlds colliding, naturally our friend group, and a lot of people know, are creatives and creative types, whether it's, professional or hobbyist. We have a passion for speaking to the creative experience, especially as it pertains to mental health and expression. And we felt it was a really great avenue to talk about creativity in all its forms and facets, and, your pursuit and, like, creative processes, and mindset. We talk a lot about mindset as you're pursuing creativity, and even, like, the business, because we know so many creatives that really struggle with the business side of things. So to even bring that into play, so you can have your own agency and, like, work outside of an industry and, like, not have any gatekeepers. Like, it's just a topic we're really passionate about, and, like, we could go on and on. So, like, podcast makes sense.
Yeah.
And we also wanted people to look at themselves as creatives. So we use that word creatives, and people, we've had so many business partners to say, what do you mean by that? Like, who's a creative? And I'm like, well, everyone is. Every single person that exists on this planet is a creative. Now, everybody may not be actively pursuing that, but we're all creative, and we all do it in different ways. And so a big part of what we want to do is get people comfortable with feeling creative, calling themselves creative, no matter what it is. If you're a teacher in a kindergarten class, you're probably one of the most creative people that anybody knows, because you have to be creative in that situation. So there's so much of I feel like we live in a world where creative has been given this sort of, like, very special characteristic, and not everybody feels like they fall in line with that, but they should. We're all creatives, and so that's who we talk to with our podcast. Every person.
Yeah, if you're human, you're creative.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. Now, you had talked about, like, a few seconds ago, on you guys really dive into the creative impact on mental health. What are some of the trends you are seeing? Like, what are some surprises that you've gotten from your different guests that you've had on?
Well, that's interesting because we're actively wanting to integrate guests to have it go beyond just us.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would say, things that we've seen in our sphere, I think it has a lot to do around mindset. Yeah, I know it has a lot to do around mindset. And, not comparing yourself and what you're doing to someone else's journey, because it's completely different.
Yeah.
Your circumstances, your background, your personal experience is different. So like, that's not even something to like, it's not beneficial. I think also, oh no, ADHD. The train
That's
is going
okay.
off the rail.
I totally worded that question wrong. So it was like, I meant like people you talk to, not guests, but we're on a podcast. So my brain went guest. And I was like,
I love the question.
Not what I was trying to say.
Well, one of the things, what Taylor was saying there, one of the big things that I think when the comparison thing, we have a lot of friends that we have within the industry that are whether you're at a beginning level or you've been doing it for a minute, they'll compare themselves to, somebody that they see on TV every day. And that's it. And they'll like, they'll discredit their work because they'll say, well, this is not, this song doesn't feel like Lady Gaga's or Beyonce's. And it's like, okay, well, you're talking about a person that has millions of dollars to go into a studio and spend 40 hours working on one song.
Yep.
And you're a person that has a 9-to-5 job that has spent a couple $1,000s on this song. Like, you got to stop comparing yourself because that journey is different. You're not going to be able to do what they're doing at that level because they're working with literally the top artists in the world. They're doing all these things that are just you're setting yourself up for failure if you're listening to your song and then listening to somebody else's song and say, okay, well, my song doesn't sound that way. It's like, okay, well, it's not going to. But the journey is about you putting it out there and getting to that level. And that happens from you putting it out and not hiding it. And so that's kind of one of the things that we talk on our podcast and we see in our circle. The other one is perfectionism. A lot of creatives are perfectionists. A lot of creatives want things to be specifically the way they see it in their head. And when they run out of resources or they think they can't themselves achieve that, they'll put up a block. And that's, the way we get anywhere is practice. The way you become better is progression, and you can't progress if you're not even doing. And so that's one of the other things we talk about on our podcast a lot is how do you create the structure for you to complete things, for you to say, I've got this idea, and then I'm going to finish this idea by the end of the week, no matter what it takes. And even if it doesn't turn out the way that I want to turn out, maybe it's terrible, but at least I did it, and now I can look at it and say, okay, why did this not work out the way I wanted it to work out? And now I can redo that again a different way now that I know what I want to do. So that's a big one.
Yeah. And I'd say the other one that really is, strong that I sense and feel too is, and it sounds so simple and like so cliche sometimes, but like believing in yourself. But like, even just the act of believing in yourself, like literally that is what sets you apart from like not doing to doing a lot of the times, and like taking the risk or not taking the risk. And I think, I don't think a lot of us are taught how to believe in ourselves and not always have like an external, cheerleader or someone validating us like all the time. And I do see that, I don't want to call it like a concept, but the weight of a creative, the presence of that, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's how you really see people propel their careers forward, or, doing what they want to be doing, is like that belief really is momentum. And to kind of talk about the perfectionist thing, we're actually actively working on a workbook to help people like pursue their ideas and not be like so perfectionistic about it. But yeah, we're as recovering perfectionists, we talk a lot about that concept as well. And just do it.
Yeah. And along with the belief is, allowing yourself to create. So, words of affirmation, telling yourself, I am a creative, I can create, I can make. I think people don't. One of the things I didn't recognize growing up was how powerful words are. And so I didn't recognize the repetition of saying something can trigger belief. And so, it's speaking to a lot of that, being able to say, I can make this thing if I want to make this thing, and I'm going to make this thing, speaking things into reality.
Yeah. If you say things enough times, your brain will believe it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Getting those new neural pathways and habits, and it's a lot of inner work.
And it's tiring. It's exhausting. Do you guys have days where you're gonna like do the thing, but you're like, I don't want to be nice to myself. I don't want to like tell myself I can do hard things. Like I'm done.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm notoriously, growing up with, as a male with a lot of male friends, you learn to neg each other, so you're kind of really like hard on each other, which is not a healthy thing. Right. But like I do that a lot to myself sometimes, where I'm just like really negative, but it's like in an encouraging way, because that's kind of the circles I grew up in. So like you think that's what you should be doing. And Taylor's she's always like, you got to be nice to yourself. Stop saying that. And I'm like, well, I'm not being mean. I like, she's like, that is mean. Like, I don't care what you say. It's mean. so yeah.
For me, I noticed, because I kind of had this moment yesterday. Well, one, I'm a lot better at like catching my spirals. But it's a lot. I think for me, it's a lot of inner child work, because that's where that emotion feels very inner child to me. Like when I start to go down that, and like I don't want to do it, or blah blah blah. It's like, oh, okay, like what's going on? Like what do you need? How can I support you? It's really, it sounds like a trip, like talking about it, like all this inner dialogue, but like, it's so necessary for me. Or else, the alternative is just like, woe is me and despair. And it's like, I don't believe that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
How can I help myself? Creativity.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I know you had mentioned that yesterday, Taylor Cobain had said, just go sit down at the piano, because you were just feeling really sad and out of it. What are your guys's, each of yours, go-to self-care things that just kind of help you decompress as an individual and just refill your cup so that you're present for literally everything?
Yeah. Mine, for me, number one, always comes to mind, is dance. Dancing is very much expression, and like, I don't know, it's really soul-centered for me. I can just put on Get Up Off of That Thing by James Brown, and like is like an instant lift for me. Yeah. Piano is one of those things. Yoga for me, like any creative movement, because I'm I'm a very kinetic energy type person. Any type of movement really does that for me.
Yeah. For me, it's usually music creation. So usually I sit down at my desk and spend some hours just trying to work on songs or anything like that that'll help me kind of move emotion from out of my head onto into sound. That's a big one.
Now, to kind of jump off of that, Cobain, do you have any projects coming up that are getting released, or are these just kind of more your personal decompression, like, this is my diary that no one will ever see?
No. These these songs that I'm working on now, it's been quite a few years since I've released solo music. I've been in a house hip hop group for the last that's like 10 years, 15 years. It's been a while. Anyway, and so we've been we kind of took a hiatus a couple years back just because my partner had some kind of family stuff happen, and so we had to take a break. And in that period of time, I started kind of redoing solo stuff, and so now we're working on a project that I'm hoping will be this summer. Will be what we'll be focusing on there, and really exciting stuff. It is hip hop's kind of my main base of genre, but this is kind of like hip hop grunge rock. So it's kind of it's kind of it's an ode to a lot of things that I think I've been wanting to make for a long period of time. So I'm excited for that this summer. That's the vision. We've got one of our big projects we're working on is we've been working on the short film for the last year. And so that's kind of been that's been at the forefront of everything. But right now we're in a space where we're looking for funding for that. So it's given me more time to focus on music, and also allow us to create some music videos for this stuff that will show off a lot of our visual eye, so, and grateful to Taylor for helping me with a lot of that stuff. Which again, another project we do together, even though it's my music, everything's together. So yeah, this summer. That's the long-winded answer to your question.
Hey, we love a good long-winded answer, honestly.
You find out so much.
You do. And honestly, as a podcaster that has guests on, it's really great when your guests give longer answers, because then you have something to pull from for the next question. Unless you have, I mean, honestly, my ADHD sometimes, like what's happened to you, Taylor, a couple times where it just like the English language just ceases to exist in your brain has happened. And the same thing with like coming up with questions. I'm like, oh crap, like what was I gonna ask? So it's definitely nice sometimes when there are longer answers, because then you can like the panic alarms are going off in the back of my head and nobody notices, and you're just like, then you come up with another question, you're like, I got this.
Yep.
But do you guys have joint or individually? I know I keep trying to like pull you guys apart individually, but I know that there's so much to each of you that I really want the listener to hear. I want them to know about you guys as a team, but then you guys individually. Who/what are some of your favorite creatives in the scene currently? I know it's hard to narrow that list down.
Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking it's really funny because like in my head there's people that we talk about together that we like really admire. Because I feel like Cobain might say this too, because we've both been like really talking about it, but Ryan Coogler,
yes,
really big inspiration in the space. Donald Glover, Tyler the Creator. I'm like, when I'm saying this, I'm like, I know that Cobain feels very similarly too. You kind of rattle some off, and I can continue jump off of that.
It's I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, you named a lot that right off the bat I connect with. Kind of on the spot, so my brain's not working as well right now.
I know. You know these things, and someone asks you, and you're like, you know what? What does 2 + 2 equal again?
There's, Ryan Coogler being, I think, the biggest like one in the moment that's like currently sort of blowing up in a different way.
Yes, the best way, so but yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I identify with there with him, and so being able to see, especially, he's the project he just did, but then he's got 2 new projects he's working on, where X-Files, which is one of my favorite TV shows, so the fact that he's working on bringing that back, and then I think it just announced the other day that he's executive producing a new Animorphs series, which like I grew up reading.
That's
Animorphs.
A name I haven't heard in a while.
So it's really cool seeing people that as a millennial, I hate doing the whole generational things, but it's cool seeing people that are millennials and Gen Zers get put in positions to make really cool things that we all grew up watching or had experiences to enjoy and would love to see in a modern way. So I love that. I'm a big fan of. I think a lot of people don't like remakes or things like that. I think, or whether it's original or remade or whatever it is, I like seeing people create ideas. And so it's really cool to see people have different takes on things. So I've been enjoying that. There's an artist that I do like a lot who's very controversial, and I have to a lot of times separate their controversy from their creativity. And that's an artist that currently isn't having a moment of resurgence in a weird way. And that's Kanye West, who, like, I as a creative in the music space, I think some of the things he does musically are really amazing to see be done. I love music of all genres, and I love people that also love music of all genres, and seeing people take songs from other cultures and spin them into hip hop songs has always been something I grew up on, and so that's really cool to see. I just trying to think of,
I have a woman to shout out.
Oh yeah,
because I want to give some love to the ladies. Rachel Sennett.
Oh yeah.
Just creating her own and putting her own stuff out there, and I just really, because we're doing that as creators, wanting our own agency, and she's an inspiration.
Timothy Chalamet, that's somebody that, like, it's a weird one, but he's one of those people that he's doing a lot of different things outside of just being known as an actor. He's very involved in some music stuff and a lot of different. I just like people that are multifaceted, because I think that's a real thing that I think previous generations tried to snuff out in a lot of people, where they're like, you got to focus on one thing, and I don't think that's realistic for humans. I think we all have a lot of different parts to ourselves, and so I like people that get to explore that, because I wish that was more. I wish that was better taught at a young age, for people to go be all the versions of yourself, so you could figure out what it is that you like.
Well, to even understand too, like, I think as neurodivergent people, so often I got the message of, like, just focus on one thing, and that really messed with me bad.
I am,
like, that was not
physically and neurologically incapable of doing that.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, encourage people to be all that they can be.
Yeah. Oh, another one, I'd say Sabrina Carpenter.
I was just gonna say,
yes,
yeah,
girl.
Sabrina Carpenter. She just, I don't know if you saw the music video House Party, but she directed that with Margaret Qualley. I was like, that's dope.
Yeah,
love to see it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, it's the people that are unapologetically themselves, and Sabrina Carpenter is very unapologetically herself, for better or worse. I think for better, but for other people it's for worse, because everyone's got an opinion. But Ryan Coogler directed Sinners, and I really think that is one of the biggest cinematic masterpieces of our time. The movie was incredible. I usually can't watch a movie more than once. I watched it 3 times because you picked up something new every single time, and it was historical. It was a horror movie. It was so many things that, again, multifaceted. You can't really fit it into one genre. And like you were saying, multifaceted. We grew up being told multifaceted was bad. Like Hillary, like just for example, Hilary Duff was an actor, and then she went into music, and everyone's like, why are you going into music? You're an actor, blah, 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 blah. And she even talked about it in interviews, especially now because she's going back out on tour and stuff like that. She's talked about it in different interviews about how, like, she was just expected to be an actor and sit in that box. And it's so funny in how the last 20 years it's gone from don't be multifaceted to, if you are not multifaceted in 70 different ways, you're going to have a shelf life, because you have to be able to pivot so quickly in different things. And it's just so funny how span of 20 years, which is not that long, it's being multifaceted is so different. Now it's almost a requirement.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also what's really funny about that is like I think about when I first started like working jobs, like the job often expects you to do a bunch of different things.
Mhm.
And so like we're being told outside of that you
Yeah.
need to focus on one thing, but then you get to work and you've got a boss saying, "Hey, can you do these 9 different things?" And it's like, "Well, okay, I perfected this
Right.
one thing because I thought that was my job." So it's there's always been such a the don't be multifaceted and just do one thing has always been something that's said, but I feel like nobody really meant it when they were
Yeah.
saying it.
No.
No.
It was I think it was just told to kids so that they would focus on like one sport or something so that it, like made parents feel better or something. And now
Mhm.
we're all grown up and we've got kids and you know, they've got 4,000 things that they're interested in doing and we're just like, "Oh, okay, we're going with it."
Yep. Let's go for it. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. Plus, everyone I know is multi-hyphenates.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're just all, I mean, regardless of like being a quote unquote creative or neurodivergent, like I believe we're all multifaceted,
Yes.
not just one thing.
Yeah. So, we talked a little bit on you guys have a short film that you're working on that's going to Cobain's got music coming out. What else is next for Brain Juice Creative as a whole?
Yeah. Well, one of the things we've got coming up more locally here in LA is we're taking our coffee and kind of doing pop-ups around the city. And so that's coming up here in the next month. We're looking to start doing that, which is really we've been doing the coffee thing like as a business officially for the last year, and so year one was literally all online and we people kept asking, are you going to do stuff like in person, are you going to sell in person, and that's always been the goal. So we're moving that into fruition next month, so we're excited about that. Yeah.
And other creative gatherings, because our goal is to bring the creative community together. So having these different creative events to really foster that and bring our vision IRL.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also just kind of expanding what we're doing to work with other creatives, because it has been Taylor and myself, and we've had support and help from some friends, but really trying to get more involved in helping other people create things they want to create. Being a part of the village, like you were saying earlier, and not just being not looking for the village, but us being villagers in somebody else's village.
Yeah. Well, Taylor and Cobain, thank you so much for hopping on. Again, you guys can find their coffee on their website. You can find them on Instagram, what are both of your Instagrams? Because I know you have one for the coffee and then another one.
Yeah. My Instagram is at Taylor Joy Stevens with a V. Yeah, just my full name, my brand.
Yeah. And mine is at Cobain Rivers, just my name as well. I was lucky enough to be able to get my name early on in the.
It's pretty unique.
And that's me on every platform. So TikTok, X, Instagram. Those are the 3 that I use. So it's all at Cobain Rivers.
Thank you
Beautiful.
for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, guys, you can find the Life We Create podcast. It's everywhere you get podcasts, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everywhere you get
especially on
podcasts.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is the home, but everywhere you can find podcasts, you can find it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been so enlightening.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
We've enjoyed our time. Yeah.
All right, kids, we will catch you all next week. And as always, stay hot and stay messy.